going? My name is Caleb Wilson. I'm here at Chattanooga, going over Chapter 8, learning how to pump down a system. So the first thing we want to do is we want to detect what kind of refrigerant we have in the system. You can usually check the data plate, see what kind of refrigerant you have. I know that I have R22 and my gauges are compatible. So let's start off with, we want to check our hoses, make sure everything's good. Look at the O-rings, the Schrader compressor. Make sure you don't have dry rot. Good here. O-ring is good. We want to hook up our high side while the unit is off. It's going to be the lowest pressure in the high side, and that's going to keep us from losing any unnecessary refrigerant. Just like that. So now we're going to turn the system on to cool mode. And the reason for putting it in cool mode is because this is the heat pump. It's got a reversing valve. So this line right here, our low pressure line, is always going to be your true suction line. That's where it's always going to be your low pressure. And then the cool mode is going to make this small line, the high pressure line, your liquid line will be your high pressure line. Rather than you would usually tag onto this third line, which is usually located right here. So since we got it in the cool mode, it's running just like a regular heating and cooling unit. So you typically want to wait 2 to 3 minutes before hooking up your low side, and that will it's going to let the pressures equalize. So once again, you don't lose any extra refrigerant. But for the sake of the video, we're going to go ahead and hook it up and get the ball rolling. So once again, I'm going to purge while I'm hooking up my low side line, keep all the condensables out of the system. We're good to go. So, when you're pumping the system down, the way you're going to do it is you have service ports on top of your liquid line and your suction line. And basically what this does is it allows you to move the refrigerant to a certain part of the system that you want to move it to. So we're going to move it to the condenser. So if you were to want to cut out the evaporator, you knew it had a leak in it, you're going to patch it up, put it back in, then you obviously don't want to cut it open with the refrigerant running through the system. So we're going to isolate it to the condenser. So how you're going to do this is you're going to close your liquid line first. You are then going to close your suction line. You want to close the suction line after you see that you've gone down to 0 PSIG. That means there is no more refrigerant on it. So once we get them both closed, we're going to turn the system off. We're going to do that at the disconnect, which is usually right beside the unit, but since we're in the classroom, we're going to go a little further away to the breaker box. So let's get started. If you want to look right here, you can watch the needle start moving down a little bit. Alright, so we're closed off, and once we get out of 0 PSIG, we're going to start pumping over here. There we go. Now at this point, we are reading 0 PSIG across our board, across the gauges here. So that means it's now clear. Cut out your evaporator, start working on it, patch a leak, get it back in there. Typically when you cut out your evaporator and you go to pressurize it with nitrogen, before you start brazing, that's going to keep all the condensables, fragments and things out of the evaporator. You're going to charge it with nitrogen, you're going to put your evap back in, sweat it back in, braze it, whatever have you. And then you are just going to reopen the liquid line and suction line, and then you're going to flip the unit back on, let the refrigerant cycle about 15 minutes, and it should be back to normal running conditions.